So this is going to be a spoiler talk for Stranger Things Season 2 on Netflix. If you haven't watched Stranger Things Season 2, I have a non-spoiler review down in the description, or if you just don't give a shit about spoilers, welcome. Okay, so, like I said in my non-spoiler talk, Stranger Things Season 2 was absolutely fantastic. There was a couple of little things that I wasn't a big fan of, which I'll touch on later in this. First and foremost, again, the kids' character work. Dustin, Mike, Will, the the black kid. I hate that I can't remember his name. I've tried for like all day to remember his name and I can't. And then Max. The new edition of Mad Max, or just Max, she's this little ginger girl. She moves into town with her stepbrother Billy. I think his name's Billy. I honestly hated him, so I didn't really learn his name. I'm pretty sure it's Billy. And she's a good addition to the group. She's kind of like the replacement for 11 for the first 8 episodes, because 11 doesn't actually show up into, like, she doesn't actually interact with anybody, like, from the main 4 until episode 8. So yeah, like Max is a great addition. The character work again for the kids is fantastic. Will's character, man, like, was really well done. The visual effects, man, on this show, like, for a Netflix show, like, I don't really like the effects you see on Netflix on this show this season. It's something you would see out of a movie, like a Marvel movie or something. The special effects for when Will is having his visions of the Upside Down and of the big tentacle monster shadow hentai porn thing, they never really explain what it is. Like, they don't really get into too much detail. I assume they're going to do that in season 3, because it seems like that tentacle monster thing is going to be the main villain or whatever for season 3. Just the visual effects when he's down there, when he's having those visions, he's seeing the tentacle monster thing, is just, it's really well done. Like, you really feel like you're right there beside him. And the acting from the kid, I think his name is Joel Schnapp or Schnapp or it's something shit. It's just fantastic. Like, he's so good. The when the monster, like, goes inside of him, not in a weird way. Get your minds out of the gutter. The kid's 14. When it, like, infiltrates his body and, like, goes and starts, like, possessing him, or it's like a shared entity thing. That whole scene is really good when they show him, like, on the real world and inside what's going inside the Upside Down. Like, just, like, the going back and forth and the contrast is really well done. The whole thing with 11 was kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say rushed, because it wasn't rushed. It sort of was, because, like, we saw her in the trailers. Like, we knew. I don't think I'm the only one that didn't think before they saw the season 2 trailer that 11 was still alive. Like, there was no way they were going to do this season without having 11 in some respect. Her whole thing with her coming back from the Upside Down was kind of, I don't know, I guess it was good for the purpose that it served. I wish that they hadn't have shown her right away, like, right off episode 1, like, if they hadn't have done that. Maybe waited a couple of episodes. I know that there was a lot that they had to fill in only a span of 9 episodes, but I feel like they didn't need her in the first couple of episodes for sure. Like, there was no way. Her whole storyline was just kind of weird this season. Like, it wasn't, I didn't like, it's not that I didn't like it. I thought it was good. It was good kind of finding her origin, but I feel like a lot of people knew that she was that lady's daughter. I think, like, if you didn't think that she was that comatose lady's daughter, I don't know where you were thinking, because it's really obvious. And then they just kind of, they kind of just like, you know, hey, if you thought this, hey, congratulations, you were right, and you know how to use your brain. And then just episode 7, just, oh man, episode 7 is so unnecessary. I know I'm not the only one that thinks this. Her whole storyline of her going to Chicago and meeting her sister or whatever, like, yeah, like, it's again, it gives Eleven more depth than she had before, but it just feels like unnecessary depth because like it just takes away from the momentum of because episode 6 is freaking fantastic and the ending is so good. You know, they're in the lab and you know you hear the or whatever the fucking hell sound they make. I honestly don't know, the Demogorgons or the Demodogs. Dustin's insistence on calling them Demodogs was really good. You know, they're crawling out of the pit, and you're like, oh shit, episode 7. Really, it's all about Elle going to friggin' Illinois. Like, it didn't kill the momentum, but I was sitting there watching this episode like, okay, are they gonna be in Illinois the whole episode, or are they gonna go back? And then you realize she's in Illinois the whole episode, and it just kind of deflates it for a minute. You're just like, oh my god, when is this episode gonna be over? I skipped some of the scenes. Like, any sort of, like, scene that I could see didn't have Elle doing any, like, mind tricks or whatever, I would just skip through. It's a 45-minute episode. I maybe only watched about 25 minutes. Oh, he skipped some time. Yeah, I did, okay? It was boring. Steve Harrington. Oh my god, this kid. He was such a douche last season. I hated him. When he was doing the whole smear campaign on Nancy throughout the town, calling her a whore because he saw her sleeping next to Jonathan out of context. I'm like, yo, this guy's a dick. Like, fuck him. And then in episode 7 and 8 of last season, I'm like, okay, you know, okay, Steve, I see you. You're not as big of a dick as I thought you were. And then in this season, he starts again as a dick. And I'm like, God, like, I want to like this kid. I really do want to. I really did want to like Steve. And then I think it's around episode maybe like 3 or 4. No, it's episode 5 where he meets up with Dustin. And that's when you're like, okay, Steve, okay. And then by the end of the episodes, you're just like, yo, Steve. I still prefer Nancy and Jonathan. And I was so happy when they finally got together. That scene of the morning after where the guy looks at Jonathan and he goes, so, Jonathan, how was the pullout? Oh my god, that was my absolute favorite line out of all 9 episodes. I don't care what anyone says. That is one of the funniest scenes because he, like, you know, the classic choking on your drink or whatever. And the look on Nancy's face, she's like, oh, and it was good. Sorry. But just the character development for Steve Harrington is just so well done. Like, it just shows that, like, you can make somebody unlikable and then make them likable if you just do it correctly. Speaking of likable, oh, poor Bob. Bob, man, Sean Astin as Bob. I was glad to see Sean Astin back because I loved him in Lord of the Rings as Samwise, easily one of the best characters of that movie. Him as Bob, at first I'm just like, oh my god, this guy's such, like, he's just there to be the lovable dork. And then, like, his little talk with Will in the car was nice, but I'm like, oh, okay, he's going to have this talk with Will, but it's probably not going to work because it's not the same circumstances, and I was right. And then I think it's episode 8, where he goes, like, Sean Astin, like, channels that Samwise Gamgee again. He's brave as shit, and he's smart as hell. You know, he goes downstairs when the Demogorgons are, you know, infiltrating the lab, and he turns on, like, the power, and then he's like, oh, wait, I know how to draw them away, and he turns on the water. Like, it's so smart. And then he goes, and then when everyone leaves, I'm like, okay, either Bob's gonna get stuck in the lab, or there was 3 ways I saw this going. 1, he's just gonna get stuck in the lab, and his death is going to be implied. 2, he's gonna, like, escape with, like, he's gonna, like, lose a hand, or he's gonna lose a leg or something. And then 3, and I really didn't want this one to be right, was that he would get outside and he'd be like, Joyce, and then he'd just get fucked up. Unfortunately, the 3rd one is the right one. That whole scene was just brutal. And that's one of the 2 scenes. The other scene I was talking about is when Dustin's mom can't find the cat, and then he finds Dart eating the cat, and they show it, like, Dapper Brothers, what are you doing, man? Like, it's so easily implied. You could have just shown the cat's tail behind, like Dustin walks in and he sees the cat's tail, and then Dart jumps up on the thing or whatever. That's fine. But no, let's show a show where a good portion of the viewers are probably around the same age as the actors. Let's just show this thing eating a cat's stomach. Yeah, let's fucking do that. No, not okay. And again, I'm not gonna be like that fucking, oh, boycott Stranger Things, there's too much violence. I don't mind violence. I just don't like seeing it happening to animals. You could have a person get shot in the head 10 times in a movie for me. I don't care once. If someone even like makes a dog or a cat cry, I'm like, yo, fuck that guy. Anyway, back to Bob's death. Jesus Christ, that was brutal. Like, oh, fuck. The hashtag last season was hashtag justice for Barb. This one should be justice for Bob. Seriously. He gets jumped, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's probably either gonna just escape by the skin of his teeth or he's dead. And then the Demogorgon, like, slices his, like, claws him in the stomach, and you're like, okay, yeah, he's probably screwed. And then they just go further with it. They literally show him being eaten alive by these Demogorgons. There was at least 5 of them. I'm just like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Oh, you're still going. Oh, you're still showing. Oh, okay. Seriously? I'm not even kidding. I turned away. I could not keep watching it. It was so extra. And I hate using that word because it's like, oh my god, she's so extra. Like, no, it was excessive. Let's just say that. It was excessive. What else is there? Oh, the new kid, Billy. He's a fucking dick. He's such a dick. Like, I don't know if he's racist or, I mean, it feels like he's racist because he doesn't want Max hanging out with that kid. And I know if anybody actually watches this and knows his name, they're gonna be like, why are you calling him the black kid? His name is whatever it is. I honestly can't remember. He's my least favorite out of the 4, and again, it's not because he's black. He's just not as funny as Dustin. He's not as well acted as Mike, and he's not as sympathetic he's not as, like, you don't have as much sympathy for him as you do Will. He's just kind of like there. Billy and Max is like a really weird story because I wasn't really sure at first. Like, I don't know, I got weird vibes from it at first. I'm like, this doesn't seem kosher. And then in episode 8, when his dad comes back and knocks him down a peg, that was one of my favorite scenes because you see the pure fear in his eyes of his dad, and I'm just like, nice. And it seems pretty obvious that maybe next season he's probably gonna bang Mike's mom, and I know that's really a messed up thought. I don't know if they were doing it just for like the joke, like she's reading one of those romance novels and the guy with the long hair and the rock hard abs is like part of the book, and then he shows up at the door. I don't know if that's why they did it, or if they're actually gonna have this happen later on in later on in season 3. And then when Max when Max knocks him down a peg and she hits him with like the anesthesia, and then like almost hits him with Steve's bat. That's fantastic. That was probably one of my favorite scenes. And then, like, the last, like, 20 minutes of the show is, like, maybe not 20 minutes, maybe, like, last, like, half an hour is really solid. Because the first half hour of the last episode is all build up. You know, Hopper and Eleven are going to close the gate. And Mike and the gang and Steve are going down into the pit to set it on fire to draw the Demogorgons away. And then Nancy, Joyce, and Jonathan are all trying to literally burn the demon out of Will. That whole scene as well, by the way, with like the veins on Will's neck and stuff, like, you know, like that was really good. There's a lot of scenes with Will that are really good, like that he likes it cold. I was like, oh shit, okay. So I know it's like the gif where the guy's like, but that I was literally watching and went, oh shit, like, oh fuck, like he's straight up possessed. The whole like last half hour is really good. Like, just like the pure intensity of the scene with Joyce and Jonathan and Nancy and Will in the cabin is really good. 11's like final like showdown thing with the gate and whatever that big monster is. I don't know if it's the tentacle monster. It looked like a xenomorph from Alien to me, honestly. That's how I saw it, because like the head was like, and then goes like out like this at the back. I'm like, oh shit, they're doing Prometheus. And then she closes the gate, and then, okay, this was one of the scene. This scene is the one that I'm a little like 50-50 on. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it, but it's also kind of stupid. Was the scene in the pit with Dustin and Dart, his pet Demogorgon or whatever. That scene I found kind of weird, because I'm just kind of like, okay, I get it. I get why they did it, because it'd be like, oh, these Demogorgons actually have feelings. But at the same time, the thing ate his fucking cat. Like, I don't know. Okay, watching the scene, I'll be honest, I was like, oh, like, he remembered him or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, this is stupid. They've never shown the Demogorgons to have any sort of like humanity or personality to them. They're just fucking killing machines. They're predator animals. And you have to be like, oh no, but like, hey, nougat. You're like, okay, sure, fine, whatever. And then the last scene of the snowball dance was just, oh man, it wrapped up the season really perfectly. You know, Dustin takes Steve's advice with the hairspray. I love that. And I'm like, yo, my boy Dustin. And I'm like, yo, you know what? He could get the girl. He could get Max. And then she leaves with the kid. And I'm like, oh, okay, poor Dustin. And then he starts getting shut down more and more by girls. I'm like, they're just going to do my boy Dustin dirty like this. They give Will some random girl. I don't know who she is. If she actually has a character name, I'm terribly sorry. I just don't actually know if she has a name. And then Nancy like comes through, my girl Nancy. She's like, oh, hey, you want to dance? I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, because Dustin's always liked Nancy in some way. You know, like last season, the first episode, he's like, hey, Nancy. Right? And that was a really sweet scene. And then I'm like, okay, they're going to do, obviously, the cliche thing where, you know, Mike's all pouty, and then, you know, you hear the doors open, and there's 11. She's like, you know, it's like the Cinderella thing. And they did it. Like, I knew they would do it. They just didn't make it as cheesy as I thought they would. The whole reunion with Mike and 11 is actually a really sweet scene. Like, where he's like, I never gave up on you. I called you 353 days straight. Yeah, I heard. I was like, oh, that's sweet. And, like, that whole dance scene is really good. And then when they were panning out from the school, I'm like, is it just me, or is the school, like, looks like it's tilted? And at first, I thought they were in the upside down still. I'm like, why is the school flipping upside down? And I realized that they flip it into the upside down, and then you see the tentacle shadow hentai monster thing there again. You're like, oh shit, it's not dead. And I think that was a better ending to a season than last season was, because last season like was kind of like, you're like, oh shit, Will's still in the upside down, like, mentally, and you're like, oh, okay, there's a lot of questions here. But then for the other one, you're just kind of, for this one, you're just like, oh shit, it's still alive, okay. Like, it doesn't leave you on the edge of your seat as last year's did. I think that's about it. Like, I know I'm probably missing a couple of key things here. Paul Reiser as the Doctor. Again, one of those guys you don't get good vibes from, but then like later on you realize like he means well. I like Paul Reiser. He was good in Mad About You. He was good in this. I don't actually know if half you even know what Mad About You was. It's a sitcom back in like the 90s with him and Helen Hunt. Go watch it if you can. Actually, it's really good. I'm trying to think. I can't really think of anything else that I'm missing. Winona Ryder wasn't as good this season as she was last season, but I think that was because like, there was less for her to be crazy about. She was still good. Like, she was good in her role. Again, she's a great actress. I just preferred her character last season, just because, you know, she's this mother in distress about her son. glad Nancy and Jonathan are together. You know, everything seems to be. I have less of an idea this for how season 3 is gonna go, which is good because you know speculation is the most fun thing on the internet. Overall, Stranger Things season 2, friggin' fantastic. I might actually watch it. I might watch both seasons back again soon. But yeah, I'd love to know some of your thoughts about it. I'm on. You can follow me on Twitter at glorious_slack9. Shut up. I know it's cheesy. Yeah, you know, tweet me your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you want to. Share, like, whatever. You know, the standard YouTube bullshit. I honestly really don't do YouTube enough to be like the beggar for likes or clickbait or whatever. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one if there is a next one. Peace out.